All right, and we are back. And ladies and gentlemen, you don't understand what an honor it is to sit down with my friend and the legend, William Russell. Bro, welcome to the podcast finally. How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing awesome, Chris. As we were texting back and forth, I was caught in traffic. There was an accident getting home. We're 3 hours apart, so I had to boot, scoot, and boogie to get down here. But it's worth it, that's for sure. And the honor is all mine. You being on your podcast, man, like being on anybody's podcast, to be honest. But like,
Yeah.
dude, your our relationship has I think has definitely blossomed as as brothers and motorsports enthusiasts, and we have very similar philosophies about life, and the pursuit of happiness, man. So this is really, really cool. Thank you.
Listen, again, the honor's all mine, and absolutely everything you said is 110% true. Yeah, we do. I always call it our beautiful circus and the family members we meet and the people we meet. Otherwise, we would have never met, right? So, yeah, man, nothing but love, brother, man. Can't wait to keep this thing rolling, that's for sure. So anyway, man, we got a lot to talk about. I'm so excited about this. I've been talking about it all day. So listen, as I always ask everybody, where'd your journey begin on them two wheels?
We got to go back, right? So
Gotta
it's
go
not. It
back.
doesn't seem like that long ago. Journey on two wheels. So one of my very best friends in high school, um, he joined the Marine Corps, and I think so. I had been in the Air Force at the time, probably like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So I was still pretty fresh in my professional career. Um, and yeah, he decided he was going to go all in, join the Marines, and he had bought a 2001 Yamaha R6. It was bright Lamborghini yellow, and then all of the metal, the wheels, rear sets, frame, swing arm was all powder coated white. Um, it was atrocious,
A
to say
banana.
the least. It was awesome, but yeah, he had got the bike and was telling me all about it. And at the time, I was kind of leaning more towards cars. My dad used to rally race and was a crew chief for John Buffum in Libra Racing back in the day before I came around. So I was definitely leaning more towards cars. And then Felipe joined the Marines, and he goes, "Dude, I can't keep my bike. I'll sell you the bike and all the gear for $500."
Bro.
So I was like, "All right, bet." And I was in college at the time, so it was probably either my freshman or sophomore year in college, and saving a little bit of money, living at home. Burlington, Vermont is where I went to school at Champlain College, and then we lived just outside of Burlington. And I hid the motorcycle from my mother in the lawnmower shed down below the house for, I think I got away with it for about 3 weeks. And then she came up in the kitchen. She's like, "What's that yellow thing behind the lawnmower?" Then I had to come clean. So that's the quick and simple how I got into it. And then man, it's it kind of spiraled out of control. I had no idea what I was doing. And then I was working at the time, I was working part time at the Automaster Spa, which is the Porsche, Jaguar, Mercedes, Land Rover dealership, and Honda dealership in Shelburne, Vermont. And Jack DeBrule, the owner, used to race Ducatis back in the 90s. I think maybe in the 80s too. And he's the one that taught me how to counter steer. I was doing circles. I'd show up to work and I'd be doing like circle drills around all the brand new BMWs in the back parking lots on a motorcycle. So dude, I think back to that now and like I didn't know what I was doing, right? So like I didn't crash in the parking lot, but what if I had lost control of the bike and smashed into a brand new fleet of 2008, 2009 BMW 3 Series. But
What a
yeah,
cool boss.
yeah, he was. I mean, he was. We didn't talk too much. he had a Confederate Hellcat that I never saw him ride, but he had a bunch of cool bikes in the storage facility that we'd kind of check out. But yeah, he was definitely wasn't the boss. He was the owner. So it was a but and riding around like New England, started getting excited about taking longer trips, feeling more comfortable on the motorcycle. Um, I had some good friends and mentors that kind of came out of it. As as we know back then, this is 2000, yeah, 2003, 2004. Facebook didn't exist, so the uh, the online forums were where it was at. So the New England Street Rider forums is where I started to live, and I met this guy. His name was Michael Doc Lemire. He was in the Army National Guard. He was a Green Knights Motorcycle Club member, the Army National Guard MC, and we started chatting it up and ended up starting a bike night together. That's still going to this day, actually. So it's really, really cool. That's the Vermont Bike Night situation. I'm sure we'll have a chance to talk more about that. But
Oh, for sure. That was back in the day with the AOL dial-up internet service. Dee, 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 started making all the
Messenger,
dude.
right?
Yeah, right, running across the
Instant
screen.
Messenger.
Yeah, man, we absolutely remember them days. Well, some of us remember them days,
Dating ourselves, dude.
right? Getting younger is what I call it. So my philosophy of everybody. So to me, everybody looks at it the wrong way. Oh, I'm getting older. Older sucks. I ache. I do this. I do that. I'm like, look, instead of thinking that way, think about getting younger. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, when you're a baby, you got diapers, no teeth, you eat soft food, right? When you get older, you're in a diaper, you have no teeth, you're back to eating soft food, right? But at that point, you got so much knowledge and live so as such a good experience in life. At least I hope for everybody, right? One thing that I really deeply wish that everybody in this life, walking this beautiful earth we live on right now, had an absolute passion for something like we have for motorcycles. I don't care what it is, gardening, coloring, drawing, whatever it is. I think this world would be a happier place.
I think so too. And we spend a lifetime trying to find that thing. And excuse me, I think we're lucky that motorcycles ended up in our lives in some way, shape, or form. For me, I'm glad my mom let me keep it.
Right?
Oh man, and she's like, you. The deal was that I had to wear the protective equipment, and
Good mom.
so that's we sat down, we talked about it, and she was like, listen, you're living at home, under our roof. You're college, you're a grown man, you're join the Air Force, but like we have to take some things into consideration still. And so we had that talk, and my mother and I have an awesome relationship still. And I mean, it all started really back then, and being open and honest with one another and calling each other out, or her calling me out, and then me, navigating those conversations.
Always got to let mama win.
Yeah, yeah, and but I'd let her know if when I'm riding, when I'm racing, I let her know what happened. If something happened. For me, it seems like things happen all the time. So, but yeah, it was really cool, and then working with my mom, I guess, on wearing all the gear, and I hate the cliche all the gear all the time, but it's so important, and it saved my bacon a couple times. We crash motorcycles from time to time. For some people, it's more like if instead of when. For a lot of us, it's more like it's just when it crashed. For me, more than others. I think I had 6 crashes on the street total, and that just happened to be all of my street bikes that I owned.
Yeah, I've done a lot of crashing on the street too. It's not fun. Yeah, experience. And my mom was the same way. And I get it being a parent while my mom was the way she was. She just because she wants to protect her everything, right? My dad too. So he's like, look, you gotta wear helmet, jacket, boots, gloves, yada yada yada. So yeah, that was part of my deal too. And I'm glad I had parents like that. You know, my dad rode, he grew up riding too as well. So he wasn't no stranger to the game. Always had to be safe to go out there. My mom would text me all the time. Are you okay? Where you at? What time are you coming home? Dinner's ready. You coming home for dinner? You know, all that good stuff. Yes, matter of fact, I still go eat with my parents once a week. They live about 15 minutes away from me. So when I left Phoenix, like I almost stayed in Phoenix. I bought a house and everything out there. Um, but the main reason why I went back, man, because I'm a family guy, dude. I was like, dude, we only live once. I want to be close to my mom and dad. So I can go there once a week or whatever, once every 2 weeks and eat dinner and go out shopping and just spend some time with my parents, you know? Um, they gave me everything for 18 years. Shoot, they still do. And I'm 46 years old. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the
Yep.
least I can do is call, text. I miss you. I love you. I take dads to the races with me all the time. Yeah, we just, man, what a journey. What a beautiful life, you know?
Yeah, indeed. Dude, that's one of the coolest things that I was able to bring well, I didn't bring him. My dad showed up to a race weekend at CVMA with Chuck Walla when we were out there, like circa like 2017, 2018. Um, they actually moved out to Reno for about 4 or 5 years, I think, if I get it right. And so we were close because I'm in Las Vegas, so I can't remember how far away that was, but not too far, a day drive for sure. But my dad had bought like a 40 some odd foot gigantic toy hauler from a buddy of mine and was kind of cruising around. And on his way back to Reno, he decided he'd swing through. It just happened to the timeline working out. I was racing I had a 2009 Ninja 250 that had Honda RS 250 upper and lower and a 125 tail section. So, and then it was all done up in Red Bull livery. I bought it like that. And it had like an older like Gixxer 1000 front end on it. Way too heavy for the bike. But that thing was super rad. It looked the business. And so, yeah, he came out and we hung out for the whole race weekend, got the whole experience, got to watch me race for the first and only time. And it's a really, cool thing. Family's important.
Absolutely. It is. Absolutely. Yeah, it's, we all get there. Everybody, I'm a firm believer that, motorcycles choose us. We don't choose motorcycles. The people that choose motorcycles, it's like a fashion. They like bikes. They get it because they're guys ride it, right? They want to pick up chicks, whatever it is. And then there's us that we see them as little kids. That's where it started with me. First time I laid eyes on it, I was like, just that's all I ever wanted to do was touch, come on the bike. I just want the bike. I don't know what it was. It just called me out, right? And I didn't realize there for a long time how much it changed my life. I mean, look where it got to me now, right? I mean, look at all the beautiful friends I've met, even before the podcast. A ton. All the experiences I've had, right? It's an absolute honor to have every single one of them because it's a part of that journey. I love the journey. Forget the destination.
Yeah.
We're all going to be at that same destination. It's all about that journey.
Dude,
Making the best of
all
it.
of my best friends in Vegas are all motorcycle guys. Like, next year, 2026, will be 10 years in Las Vegas, which is like the longest time I've been in one place for the most part of my choosing. And yeah, I mean, the Apex Assassins crew, I mean, that's my family here. We kind of joke about it because our boy Nick loves Fast and Furious. So the whole family thing, but truly, like all jokes aside, Nicholas, you know, Richard and Anthony and Mike and, Nick, I mean, the whole crew, there's friggin' 30 of us. Carla and Corey. And, I mean, just our team. It's ebbed and flowed. It's grown a little bit, shrunk a little bit, but it's pretty much it's like 90% like the same people when Richard started the company back in like 2017. And I mean everybody that I've met, like going to Moto America rounds, it's like a family reunion. You new people show up, but it just seems like all the regular players are there, and I'm so thankful and blessed to have been able to meet some of those people.
Yeah, man. It's that's why when I go to the races, I don't do a whole lot of videos and a lot of social media. It's my only time that I physically, I got this, what we're doing now, but it's not the same as seeing you in real life and getting that hug and that smile and just feeling that raw energy, right? To me, that's more important, right? I can do the social media and all that stuff later. I do a little bit, but I'd rather take the whole maybe 15 minutes we spent together this past weekend, right? Means more than 100 social media posts or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that 110%. So it's my way of having fun at the races, still networking, getting people on, exchanging numbers and that. But it's more so of, just being there and supporting my friends and watching them and getting those hugs and smiles and talking. Can't beat it. Can't replicate it. It's worth everything. And then when I leave, of course, I watch the races.
Yep. Same with me. I poach other people's Moto America Live Plus, or just watch it on YouTube. I'm really actually happy that they've been doing a lot of the broadcasts on YouTube, so we can watch it after the weekend, and the live broadcasts too have been really cool.
Oh yeah, they've stepped up their game for sure. I give it to them. Absolutely, they have. We'll talk about Moto America here in a little bit for sure. But I want to get to a couple of these comments real quick. My man John Elliott, have you ever met Chris Elliott?
Of course.
Yeah, dude. He's one of. I love Chris Elliott. I love John. What's up, Chris Simcoe? It was good seeing you this weekend, John, my friend. It's always an honor to see you and Chris. Huge supporter. He's proper mega fast, that's for sure.
Yeah, those guys, that family is so great.
Yes, they are.
They had a rough go of it this weekend,
Yes, they did.
It's always tough to see that. I mean, Chris is such a strong kid, and he's doing the business, that's for sure. He's doing the thing, as we call it.
Oh, he is. Every time I see him, it's nothing but hugs and smiles. I mean, even if I don't see him first, he sees me. It's like a beeline, give me a big old hug. And man, Rossi Moore was the same way. Rossi gave the best hugs ever. I say it all the time. Rossi Moore, man, he would just squeeze it like it was the last time he was ever going to see. It was, can never forget it. So, Chris is just like that too. I remember I pulled up, it was Friday, and I got there, I think about 11, closer to noon. I had a couple errands I had to run. And as soon as I come in, I seen him. So, of course, I make a beeline. And I think he had crashed. And him and his dad was working on the bike, and they were talking. He just looks at me with this look, and he's just like, and I was like, I'll come back, right? Like, I'll come back. I got you, man. That's all you got to say. I hear it all. So, they're absolutely amazing. So next time you guys go to Moto America, Mid-Ohio, make sure you stop by. Chris Elliott, say hi, get that picture, get that autograph, man. Show that love and support. It means a lot. Trust me. It really does. And then we got, of course, our guy Ty. Who's this guy? He doesn't even race anymore.
Ty knows why. Ty and I are longtime teammates, and speaking of someone that really climbed through the ranks. I mean, he was the first one of the Apex crew to get his pro license, and then he was so good last year. But we all got to take a break every now and then and kind of pursue other things. And old boy's turned into quite the golfer. But we both suffered some pretty gnarly head injuries, and have been on that road to recovery. He made it back. He battled hard. Like his recovery was a big struggle, and for him to make it back and then get back on the pro grid and then succeed as well as he did last year is a huge testament to his ability, his tenacity as a human being. And Ty and I have been riding and racing together for a long time, and watching him come up. I mean, watching the whole team come up. has been incredible. It's such a it's humbling, um, for sure, especially as like a coach and a mentor, and then your teammates get faster than you. And but it's you got to keep the ego in check, man, because it's certainly not a, it's we're competitive, but it's not a measuring contest of, who's the guy in any given weekend at any given track. So dude, Ty's my boy. He's awesome. He's a great rider. He's a great dude. And hopefully my brother, I'll be back at it, but it's going to be on the OG. It's going to be on Silver Cloud, 2001 Gixxer 1000. Just, booting and scooting around with Arma. I don't know. They might make an appearance with CVMA again, so show some of these young kids how it goes on a 20-year-old bike.
I know that's right. Yeah, Ty's absolutely amazing. He's a good buddy of mine. It was an absolute honor. Ty, I know you're listening right now because you just commented again. Man, it's an honor again to be your friend and to have you on the podcast. We definitely still need to do that part 2, even though you're not racing right now. He is becoming a good golfer, but I'll still challenge him with Tiger Woods or whatever PGA Tour on the Xbox, PlayStation any day, baby. We can get it in, right? Let's go.
The gamer nerds,
right? Yeah, I've been watching his YouTube videos on Call of Duty and all that stuff. But yes, Ty is absolutely. I remember, I followed him on social media and I hit him up. I actually donated to his race cause. It donated, got the little bomb, my little bomb stick on the back of his helmet. Yeah, man. Dude, listen, I love to support my friends. I love to support the industry. So all my friends that are in the industry, it's support them in the business. Don't go to Walmart, Target, Amazon, blah, 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 and order that stuff. Go to the people or people you're friends with on Facebook. Reach out to me if you guys need anything. I'll point you in all kinds of directions depending on what you need. I got you, right? Yeah, I'm a firm believer of that because it's we're such a small, beautiful circus, and it's important to help each other out, because like you said before, we're a big family. There's also a very competitive side to that family too, as well. So one question I do want to ask for you is, you being a racer, being out there racing and being super competitive to some of your brothers, how do you separate that too mentally from, going on the track, being that apex assassin, wanting to chop everybody's heads off to, give them a big old hug and having beers at the end of the day and sharing burgers and laughs? Because some people can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I'm trying to remember, a time when I genuinely struggled with like relationship in the paddock, with a competitor. And I really don't think that's ever happened with me, to be honest. At least not the guys that I raced against. There's always personality conflicts in the paddock, especially when you start being more involved with the track day organization or the race organization. There's some politics and but overall, like direct competitors, very rarely have I had any significant issues. And we are competitive and we've been out there slicing and dicing, definitely made contact with a number of people. We were always able to resolve those issues, even if it took a couple hours or, maybe a couple weeks. And I think that, I think it really comes from, at least from my perspective, like I really have always tried to, say always, to the best of my ability, remove the emotional component from my racing. So yeah, I mean, we're going to get mad during a race if someone, cuts underneath us or, chops our wheel off or whatever the case may be. But after the race, I mean, even there was I can't remember the kid's name. But he T-boned me going down the hill counterclockwise at Chuckwalla. I was on a Gixxer 600, so I was middleweight. he wanted to win that race so bad. I think I was in fourth place, and I had podiumed a couple times that weekend. He just straight up just spearheaded me going into turn 10, and I had the whole thing on video. He didn't even try to turn the bike. He just came in there, and it's like, brother, I ain't gonna move.
Yeah.
I can't even see you coming. And so that was tough. That was a tough one because his dad was pretty upset. His dad came over and talked to the girl I was dating at the time, and kind of was bitching and moaning about how hurt his son was. And I was like, dog, he hit me. I'm glad he's relatively okay. I'm glad he's not seriously injured, but like, he wouldn't have had a foot peg go through his leathers and into his forearm if he wouldn't have hit me. And he ended up coming over a little bit later, and it was still a bit contentious, that because it wasn't really an apology. And I think that for the most part, overall, we're saying that we're one big family, but there's mutual respect for what we do and how we do it that 99% of the paddock understands. And so even when you get into some hairy issues, and I've been involved in a few, even if it was like, hey man, like come back and see me at the end of the day, we'll sit down and you have a burger, or, we'll crack open a beer if that's your thing. And we can talk about it, but man, not right now. Like you just ran into me 15 minutes ago and I can't have this conversation with you. So I think it's just being, trying to see the big picture, understand what we're doing, because my mentality is not about going to work on Monday. There's a lot of people that talk about that. It's like, hey, we all have to go to work next week. And it's like, that's cool. That's not how I look at this. When I'm out there for a race weekend, like there is no tomorrow. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but I'm also like, shit costs money, especially at, at the level that I was racing at the last 2 years, even the last 5 years, really. It's a significant financial commitment. And I ain't trying to, the plastic trophy. And there's a lot of people that will say that too. It's like, oh, you're just racing for, plastic trophy or whatever. Or even, at CVMA, they a couple of years ago, they started doing cash payouts, so I've won some money in the shootouts, which is cool. It's like, pays for a set of tires. Maybe I think I got, fourth or fifth place in the shootout. It's like a $500 or $750 check, but still,
Yeah.
But the reason that I race, there's multiple reasons, but the satisfying that competitive side, because we can't go out in the street and fight with swords anymore. We're men, and we are even more so. We're human beings, and there's a fire that burns inside of us, and we have to satisfy that in one way, shape, or form. And sometimes it's throwing hands, and other times it's it's going up the inside of you when you blow a corner. So for me, I was always all in for a race weekend. There is, like, today is today. Tomorrow will take care of tomorrow. And if we got to call in because we broke our leg, call into work. And if that's something that you can't handle or is difficult for you as a racer, then don't race. Just stick to track days. And I might be a little harsh for some people, but I'm direct. And if you want to be competitive, and you want to be, especially if you want to be at the tip of the spear, especially at places like Chuckwalla, like CVMA is, the premier West Coast race organization, and it is unbelievably competitive. The dudes, it's all Moto America guys now that come out for off-season testing and to stay sharp. And granted, I guess I was one of those Moto America guys, but privateer versus people that are making money. But it's cool. It's cool being out there with those guys. But we all have our reasons why we do it. But and have to have a little bit of perspective and be respectful. If someone is at your level and they're like, hey dude, I don't like the way you ride, and then we can sit down and we can talk about it. I think it's the biggest thing, especially on the team with Apex Assassins, is that we've always, I mean, we're super tight, we're super close, we're super competitive, but we've never not shared any information, any data, and passing up the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation about things, whether it's contentious or not.
Yeah, I love it, man. How did the whole Apex Assassin thing come together for you?
For me personally, so I was doing a one-on-one rider coaching with my buddy Charles Silver, who's out of Phoenix. That dude's a maniac. He wanted to be better at track days, and then he wanted to start racing. And I was just like, all right, well, I'm your guy. So he came up here to Vegas. We went to Pahrump for 2 days at Spring Mountain. And a bunch of the Apex dudes were there. I think we were at the East track, which, listen, racetrack's a racetrack, and rider rides and a racer races. But I don't, if you gave me a choice, I would not pick that track to ride. Not that it's a bad track. It's just, it gets a little bit sketchy when the speed comes up. It's a fun racetrack, but it's not fun to go fast on. I think that's the best way to put it. I'll go out there and ride with anybody and just, boot and scoot, whatever. But to like put your head down and go fast, like, no, not that track. The north-south track, the classic course at Spring Mountain's where it's at. That's a fun track to go fast on. So Charles and I were there just finishing up the day, and I think like Richard came over. He's the owner of Apex Assassins, and introduced himself to me. And the story goes as he tells it, is like I was a bit of an asshole, I think is how he says. And Nick agrees with him, so I'm like, I just guess take their word for it. But I think I was packing the bike up, and so Richard was like, "Hey man, I think he asked me if I needed help loading the bike," and I was like, "No." And then just like hopped up in the back of the truck, wheeled it up on the ramp, and like whatever. But I remember before that I'd written him a whole email, because when I moved to Vegas, I didn't have a motorcycle community to hang out with. And down in Tucson, I lived in Tucson for 5 years, and did a lot of stuff with Desert Road Racing, with Jason Citron, with Charlie Quiros at the Musselman Honda circuit, which is the supermoto / go-kart track in Tucson. I ran the sport bike program there. Well, actually, I helped Charlie create the sport bike program, and we ran that for almost 2 years. Did some really cool track days, some time attack stuff, some late night track days under the lights. He's got a great lighting system there. That track is so much fun. And so when I moved to Vegas, I was still doing stuff with DRRO, and that's when Mike Bishop and Kyle Renault kind of took over for me as like the lead rider coaches with Jason and the team. And so I had helped Jason get that program going, myself and James Philly Joyce, who does a lot of work with Dunlop now. He was at VIR this past weekend with Sean Unvarsky and the Coke racing team.
Yeah.
Words are hard,
Right. My buddy Romeo Chavani races on that team too. He's Sean's teammate.
Oh yeah. Roger and I were talking about him quite a bit. So yeah, I moved to Vegas, and I was still doing stuff with Jason and DRRO, but really wanted to find, like, I guess my own space. I'm driving 5.5 hours to go down to Phoenix. Got a little bit old, and it's hard to like manage and run from a leadership program to our position as well. So we ended up passing that off, and then Jason was really kind and still let me participate when and if I could. And then I reached out to Richard, or I was going to reach out to Richard, but I can't remember how we got connected. But we ended up getting connected. We talked about some things, had a very shared like the same vision of like what a track day company should be. and who was going to be a part of it. And he had already done the legwork. The team was incredible. And really what I saw, I think I was at we did an event. He invited me out to Big Willow. So we were at Willow Springs, and I kind of was looking at how they were operating the day, and I was giving him feedback, and I'm like, man, like we need some structure. And if you know the Apex Assassins team, like structure is not the word that we would use to describe the team. We have become much more structured and much more organized. But you know, the long and the short of it is, dude, we're just a bunch of goobers and hooligans that love riding motorcycles and riding them fast as we can on a racetrack. And we all just happen to share the passion together, and we can tolerate each other at the track, in at the garage, and at each other's homes. And you know, so you know, we barbecue together, we hang out together, we ride together. You know, Cycle Tech, Dave Guerrero's shop, where Nick and Martin both work, is 12 minutes from my house. I'm down there all the time. And so I ended up, you know, Rich asked me to be a part of the team. I ended up being kind of in a lead rider coach position, and it just kind of took off from there. I joined the team in 2019. Took a little bit of a hiatus, but stayed involved through my professional. I switched jobs at the time from 19 to 20, but was really involved with the team. And Richard has always been so gracious, let me, you know, borrow and ride bikes. I remember I flew. Well, at that time too, I was crew chief for a Moto America Twins guy. As a crew chief, I was a mechanic. Definitely not a crew chief at that time. And Richard invited me to come out again to Big Willow, and he's like, dude, I got a bike for you. Ty's going to bring the bike out. Just fly in and show up, and we'll handle the rest. And so him and I have definitely grown really, really close. We agreed on just about everything. But joining the team in 2019, you know, in a leadership position, and then being able to, you know, work with some incredible riders, you know, Ty, Anthony, Nick, Corey, Richard himself, Travis, the silent partner, Travis Peterson, and at the time, like, you know, Slavin, Sarah, and who else was riding with us back then? And then, you know, Johnny Tran, you know, him and I, he spent a lot of time volunteering and working with California Superbike. And so I was able to kind of meet those guys as well. They come out here I think twice a year to Vegas. So I was introduced to California Superbike at that time as well, and did a lot of volunteer work, you know, corner working, and then getting to know Dylan and Keith and a lot of the coaches who are some really good friends of mine now. And just was able to get some good quality track time, but bring a lot of those experiences of working with some extremely talented and intelligent riders, and start, you know, have those conversations about what we do, why we do it, and how we do it, and then kind of translate that as a competitor into, and then taking what California Superbike does is like a curriculum based program with, I don't even know how many years, you know, Keith started that before I was born, I think.
Yeah.
You know, 40 plus years of like extreme, like science based, you know, observational based, and experience and knowledge, and, you know, stuff that he put together. But being able to kind of take those conversations and then translate it into what we were doing as a track day company. And then building things up from I would say a coaching standpoint. All of our riders that are on track with our customers, staff riders. So I wanted to get away from the control rider mantra, but not really dive into like a rider coach, because we really don't do coaching. You know, like YCRS California Superbike. Like those are very specific curriculum based, highly focused coaching environments. Or, when you work with, say, like JP43 or Andrew Lee or Mikey Gilbert, like you're getting one-on-one coaching and development. Whereas when you come to a track day, you want some guidance, but we're not there to, teach you how to ride the bike. So kind of renaming our staff, the team who are on track with our customers, naming them staff riders. And then at the time, I was a USMCA, so the United States Motorcycle Coaching Association. I was a certified rider coach with them, which is something I need to re-up. Lindsay and I have been talking. Well, we were talking about a year ago about some improvements that I think the company should make. But a great organization. And at the time, we had about, I think, 6 or 7 of our staff riders were USMCA certified. So really, really great program. Really cool to have that certification like under our belts, and something that we could advertise with as a track day company. But like we try to do it just a little bit different. And if you've ever been to any of our events, I think you can see that, you can feel that. We try not to take ourselves too seriously, but at the same time, still run a structured and safe event. That's just really a lot of fun. It's like structured as much as we can. Like again, like all of our team is from a like just like all of us. You go to a bike night, you go to a track day, or you do a road trip or a group ride. You're working with software engineers. You're working with architects. You're working with military guys, or the dude from the Dodge dealership. We all come from a different walk of life, but that commonality of motorcycles and what that means. Like, because we know how dangerous it is, especially like you lived in Phoenix, like I lived in Tucson, like especially these big cities, LA, Vegas, San Diego. Like we know in our hearts what can happen if things go sideways, especially being on the street. So I think there's just a mutual, it's not even a respect thing. It's an understanding that what we do and why we do it and why we love it so much, why it's become an obsession for us. And it kind of, it smooths over any of the light details that could come up, some of the disagreements, some of the arguments, some of the, back and forth. That's the long story of how I got involved with Apex Assassins.
I love it, man. It's one thing about our sport, man. Everybody's got their own beautiful journey and how it changed your life. Again, and the people you meet along the way, and friends and family, and the memories you make, and all that good stuff. Let me ask you this question: being a professional racer, but also helping people improve too at the track at the same time. Do you get the same satisfaction of seeing somebody come back in and improve their lap time, or you give them some advice and you actually see them do it and increase, their lap times drop? Do you get the same satisfaction of that and lining up at the grid?
No. And I'll explain. I think the quick and easy answer to that is like, oh yeah, of course I get it, but it's not the same satisfaction. Man, being on the grid as a rider, as a racer, as a competitor, and as a crew chief now with Mike, boy, that it's a completely different feeling. And even with Mike, as our program has developed from last year into this year, I wouldn't say I'm a nervous wreck, but I'm very quiet. And I think Nick and Johnny can attest to that. As they watch me, I'm very focused. I'm taking notes. I'm watching the lap times. I'm watching the split times, and I'm writing them down in my own little notebook. But I'm nervous. I'm nervous on the bike, even in the middle of the race. I think when I was racing, it takes a different mindset. But man, as a coach, as a mentor and watching your guys. And I would even say this from a track day point of view, it's completely different, the satisfaction that you get. Because again, like I wouldn't say I'm a nervous wreck, but I am definitely breathing a little bit. It's a little tight when Mike's on the track. And, I'm, I don't calm down until he comes back into the pits and safe and sound, and we can talk about things, and we can dive into a little bit more this past weekend, what happened and how that all worked out. Um, but otherwise, I mean, when you're on a track with somebody and you're watching and you're having the conversations. For me, like my program now, my one-on-one rider development, I'm taking video constantly. Um, and then sitting down, looking at the iPad, looking at the video, being like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. Maybe make some ergonomic adjustments to the bike, talking about some things, asking those leading questions, and then watching a rider take what you talked about and going out there and applying it. Sometimes it's not the next session, maybe it's the next day, or, even getting the phone call. So going back to my buddy Charles, we've spent hours and hours and hours. I've been his coach for years. And he'd call me and we would talk for like 3 hours about fundamentals, about technique, about, vision and throttle control and brakes and just how suspension works, and all the little nuances and details about what and how we do it. And then watching his results as a racer, and then now as a coach and a mentor for other riders. I think for me that feeling is unmatchable. Sharing with, with clients, sharing with your friends, and then sharing with participants at our track day events, is one of the greatest, giving back to the community. But it's more than just giving back. And the reason I say no, it's not the same, is because I think Josh Hayes, a couple of years ago, said in an interview that this is an inherently selfish sport. Even when you have teammates, I mean, there's like when Ty and I were battling in 2022 together, like he was the guy I wanted to beat. He had the most experience. He had leveled up. He had a fast bike. I knew that I could beat him. It just took a little bit longer to actually come to fruition than I wanted. Or I guess, yeah, than I wanted, than I expected. And we both were going hard at it. And, whenever you finish in front of a competitor, yeah, the elation and the feeling of that is awesome, but it's selfish. It's just like, yeah, I beat that guy. It's like, all right, like cool. And especially if you're like a season entry in Moto America, or you commit to a full season at your club race, whether it's MRA in Colorado or Utah SBA or CVMA or CCS in the East Coast, you're going to develop a rider that you're going wheel to wheel with, weekend in, weekend out. That guy for me, going back through my CVMA experience, was Ryan Whitman. He beat me on Saturday. I'd beat him on Sunday. And then the next, 6 weeks later, it'd reverse. Or he'd have a bad weekend, or I'd have we're human beings, right? So like you're not always dialed in. There's distractions. But him and I did that year in and year out, and it was awesome. And we became so close. Man, I was going to tell a story. I forgot.
That's okay. We'll have plenty more opportunities to tell this story, right? I want to get to another comment real quick. We got Andrew Davis, a good buddy of mine, lives in Atlanta. He does a lot of club racing. He says, "What's up, fellas? Mental health is a huge part of this sport. The highs can be really high and the lows can be really low, but the people of this sport don't let you fall off and stay off. This year has taught me that. Chris, love you, man. Love you too, Andrew. Absolutely.
Dude, big that's a huge comment. Um, and glad that you guys have that relationship. Glad that you got good people with you, Andrew. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's again, that's part of our beautiful circus. The people you meet won't let you stay down long at all. They're like, "Come on, let's go. Got to get back on the bike. Let's go smile. Let's go have fun. Love you, mean it. Bye." You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's about. I'm a big share, and I want to see everybody smile and have a good time around me all the time. Being happy is it's something you have to work on, and it's hard to do. You know what I mean? That's it. And the whole mental side of things, because life's just bullshit. It's draining. There's a lot too much negativity going all the time. So how do you, as a single individual and human being, no matter what else you got going on in life, you're either single, you're married, got a girlfriend, dogs, cat, son, daughter, whatever it is. How do you process all that and still turn all this, blah, 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 just all this stuff on your shoulder around and still stay humble and smile and spread the love? This is the challenge. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, challenge whether you're and ride a motorcycle. That's how you handle it all.
That's absolutely half of the equation right there. The other half of that is me and William had a deep conversation at VR about it, man. You first and foremost, you gotta love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you can love anybody else. You gotta truly be happy with yourself. The whole saying, change your diet, change your mind, change your heart, change your mind, all that. Yeah. You should give it a try. Everybody should. Be embrace the suck when it sucks. Enjoy the moment. Live every day, no matter what. I tell everybody, William, all the time. Just tomorrow when you're at work and it's the shittiest part of the day, smile and enjoy it. Right. That's kind of what started my journey of trying to turn my inside out. Right. Just embracing everything and always looking at the positive side of things. It's easier said than done. I struggle with it. I ain't gonna lie, I'm not perfect. I'm a human being just like everybody else is, but it's that self-motivation, that look, man, I just want to be a better person and spread it to my son and teach him all the right ways and to love everybody and love himself. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, racing, motorcycles. Motorcycles is one of those things that no matter what you're going through, you can always put that helmet on, throw your bike, that leg over that bike, and like everything just goes away. Your head's quiet. You're not thinking about anything. I just turned my AI camera on by doing that. Y'all seen that, right? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah,
but dude, you're onto something there, and to grab a hold of that and dive a little bit deeper, which all of my friends who are listening love it when I do this. Using Ty as the example. So him and Anthony Lugnut were living together in Escondido. And at the time, I was living out of Ryan Whitman's toy hauler on the side of his house and paying rent by cooking food for the family, which was an enjoyable and lovely thing to do. I love to cook. So that was a great time in my journey. But Ty was leveling up in his racing program, and I went to the house a couple times, and him and Anthony were two guys that I really helped me develop my training program. I just called it the mentality of racing, and I would say it's a book. It's a long work in progress, a long time. It's been sitting around since then, but really, working on this rider development program is what it's turned into now. But it started with those guys, and Ty asking questions, and then the two of us, diving into books like Twist of the Wrist, and then having in-depth conversations about the fundamental ways a motorcycle works and how we need to ride the bike, how we need to be a part of that. It's a relationship with the motorcycle. And then philosophy, really stoic philosophy, removing ourselves emotionally, which was an interesting one, talking with Anthony, because Anthony is one of the few people who has to ride emotionally. That dude is just a raging ball of emotions. And when it all lines up for him, he's unbeatable. He's untouchable. One of the most unique road racers I've ever had the privilege of knowing and racing with. And working with. So really, really cool. But working with those guys at that time, and then I think later on that year, I can't remember exactly. But later on that year, I think, or going into the 2020 season, Ty and I were talking, and he goes, "Dude, everything that we've been talking." He's like, racing motorcycles, and this is something that I would say at the time. Is like, racing motorcycles will make you a better person. And him and I talked about that at length. And I think it was like an epiphany for him at some point in time where he was at work or he was dealing with something. And he came back to some of the tenets that we were discussing about how to stay cool on the track, how to perform, how to show up, riding, deliberately and executing your plan. And I think how to break down a new racetrack is one of those things, and not get tied up with all the woulda, shoulda, couldas. It's staying objective and approaching things in a very objective way. You versus the racetrack, it was him expressing that to me was really, really cool. I never really thought of it that way because everything for me was all integrated. You riding and racing, riding a motorcycle on the track, and the competitive nature. Either one, whatever flavor you're in, it's like that'll make you a better person. And if you apply yourself, and I don't know, maybe that's the same for tennis or golf. I don't think so, because your life isn't on the line. When you're risking your life, that's like one of my favorite Ernest Hemingway quotes. There's only 3 sports: mountaineering, bullfighting, and motorsports. Everything else is just a game. And racing motorcycles ain't no game, boy. Like, that's a sport. It's a serious sport. And yeah, okay, blah, 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 we can get hurt. But man, the serious nature of it is how in-depth and complex it is. And that's again, like the beautiful thing about like what Keith has done, and like Nick Einosh and the YCRS guys, is that they've taken the depth and the intricacies of this sport and they made it accessible to regular people. But those people go through the program just like, the Apex Assassins team has gone through our, I wouldn't say it's our program, but gone through, where we started to where we are now. And when I joined the team, I think there was only 2 expert licensed riders. And now it's like 90% of the team is licensed or expert license. And I think 5 or 6 of us have all had our Moto America license. I think we're the largest track day organization in the country to field more than 2 riders on the grid. So, fact check me if you want, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Like, from 2022 to now, we've consistently had, 2 to 4 riders on the grid, mostly in stock 1000, but
still in the show.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's proper mega. What are you talking about, man? That's one question I do have for you, bro. Like, getting into bikes and then getting introduced to the track and doing some club racing. What made that transition to you to want to go to Moto America?
Man, I guess we'd stick with the with Ty being the subject. Ty was the first one to do it, and it's like, and like, this isn't a shot, right? Like, I'm not saying this, but if Ty can do it, I can do it. And that's because him and I were both competitors. And he was the first one to kind of break through that ceiling. It's like really, it's like, all right, well, if he can do it, if he can commit and apply himself, and because you don't know what you don't know. So like, I don't know what I need points wise or finishes, or I thought it was a more, I wouldn't say difficult, but I thought it was like a much larger process to get your Moto America professional license than it actually was. And so that was one of the reasons why I ended up bumping up to race a 1000, as a grown ass man, 5'10", 180 pounds, racing a 600 against some of these jockeys, it's like, that's hard, dude,
Yeah.
but power to weight, right? So being on a 1000, and man, dude, like racing 600s for me was just, you're so busy. Now, when I first started getting after it on a big bike, I was like, why did I wait so long? Like, it's just so much easier.
I could be just lazy. What are you talking about?
You just roll into mid corner. You wait for that thing to rotate, and you're like, oh, there we go. I can see the exit. Got direction. Open the throttle. Pick it up. Pull the trigger. The 600, it's just like, dude, you got to get back to the throttle as soon as you can, and then you're just dancing that rear end, and you're just stressed out the whole time. But so figure out, it's like, all right, I need 100 AMA points and then in the class you want to race, and then you have to have your race director sign off. So if you're a fast guy, but you're either a jerk in the paddock or you're a little bit sketchy on track, it's like your race director, if it were me, right? It's like, yeah, dude, you got the points and you've obviously got what it takes to ride fast, but you're kind of a psychopath. Like, I ain't signing you off. Which is another, for some people, it's a good reason to maybe calm down and focus a little bit more and apply yourself to take that speed and dial it in and actually be a rider that people might want to be on track with. And also, like, some other good friends of mine that I raced with at the time were longtime licensed Moto America riders, Manny Segura being one of them, and Ryan Whitman as well. Ryan ended up getting his license. Josh Fogel. I mean, we've had a lot of CVMA riders get their Moto America license in twins, Stock 1000 and Super Sport. And, all those guys and gals, have been pretty close friends of mine. So watching them do it as well. Ty was the guy that was like, yo, he's my teammate. We race and we ride together. He did it, which means that I can do it. But also, I mean, being around so many people and that have made it to that level, and then wanting to do the same thing. And so once I realized that I had the points, and I think some metrics, I think if you're a regular Chuck Waller racer, you have to be sub 150, or you have to be right there. Mike Bishop is kind of the black sheep in that regard, because a lot of people will look at at your hometown tracks. If you're not at or under a certain lap time metric, some people will be like, maybe it's not your time to go. Mike got faster at Chuckwalla after Moto America, and we can kind of come back to that. That's a really cool story. Mike's performance last year, especially. But yeah, man, I knew I wanted to ride Laguna specifically, and Richard, he put that bug in my ear. He was like, man, Laguna is the Mecca. Excuse me. Especially the West Coast. And I would agree with that. Laguna is the most special racetrack. And I think there's a lot of special racetracks, and everybody has like a heart for certain spots, but Laguna, man, the soul that's there is just, it's something else. It's special. And so I wanted to do my debut there. And I did. And so it's like, well, like what are our goals? What are our metrics? What do we want to do? It's like, all right, we have to make the grid. So get our license accomplished, qualify. So make the grid, finish in front of where I started, and don't crash. And anybody that knows me, the don't crash part's a pretty significant hurdle to overcome. Well, we did it. And so, Uh, yeah, man, it's still a blur. Just thinking back to it, I really have no idea. I knew that I could make the grid. I think I ended up gridded 24th. I think I got qualified at like a 31 and change, um, and then finished 17th with low 30s. Um, and then there was a bunch of icing on the cake too. Beat all my fellow club guys, almost all of them. I think Anthony and Jack Backen finished in front of me. Um, but man, it was so cool. Like, it was so cool. I wanted to do it again, and I got hit my head. And so,
Yeah, yeah. No, speaking of your injury, man, people that are listening to this, how has that uh challenged you mentally, and how are you overcoming that?
what's interesting, and actually one of my pilots today at work, because my Laguna helmet, which is it's the Rossi Laguna replica AGV Pista GPRR, is sitting above my desk. And so one of my pilots came in today, and it's the first time he'd seen the helmet like in person, and he was looking at it, and he was like, "Oh my god, dude! Like, this is crazy." He's like, "That doesn't give you flashbacks or PTSD? Like, seeing that every day?" I'm like, "No, like, not at all." Earlier you had talked about having good friends to pick you up and challenging you or encouraging you to get back on the horse. One of the biggest things with recovering from any kind of wreck, and this is something that I'm going to work with Mike on. He had a big off at VIR on Sunday, and when it's time, like, there's no question, like, we're getting back on the bike. In what capacity, that's up to for him and his family to decide, and I'll be there to support that, whatever his decision, and help him work through it. But and like my wife and I with Angelique, her and I have spent hours talking about what my future is going to look like as a coach, as a competitor, as operations director for Apex Assassins, and working with the team in our events, and what my direction moving forward is, um, and professionally too. So I'm a air crew. I'm enlisted air crew with the United States Air Force, and professionally, thank you.
You're welcome, brother.
Um, Professionally, I have to go through a whole waiver process for a TBI, um, and it's intensive. And you know what? Like what Ty had to go through professionally, being involved in civilian aviation, working with neurologists that don't understand what we do, but they understand concussion and TBI. The athletic community as a whole is making leaps and bounds in physical therapy, and and how to address and treat and work through. Um, like Andrew Lee and I had a long conversation about a concussion that he sustained, years ago, and how he didn't take the time to heal up. And then Dustin Quinter and I talked about it as well, and we talked pretty. He called me. He was very involved in keeping in touch. Like every like 2 or 3 weeks, he'd hit me up, be like, "Hey, dude, how you doing?" So I'm very thankful for that, and a bunch of people did as well. But Dustin worked through some pretty significant injuries as well, including a head injury. And so we had a long, long conversation. He's like, "Brother, don't rush it. I know you want to get back on a bike like ASAP." And that's our biggest thing. It's like, you have to get back on the bike as soon as you can. But when it comes to concussion TBI, so for those that don't know, um, I think, pretty sure, high-sided or I lost traction of the rear of the bike. High-sided in Aprilia RSV4 factory, turn 4 at Laguna Seca, the weekend after a very successful ARMA event, where two first place, two second places on two different bikes. So it was a rocking weekend. My brand new rider gear purple suit, which looked amazing. And then the EMTs cut it off me, because I was trying to fight them on the side of the racetrack. But yeah, had a pretty gnarly accident. Hit my head, knocked myself out. Ended up having 2 7 millimeter hemorrhages in my right parietal lobe, which the MRI revealed, and did 5 months of physical therapy for predominantly for balance. And so that was rough. That was difficult. But ended up doing, yep. So March of this year, we had a track event at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Got back on the bike, felt incredible. I was so slow.
Hey, but you got back up and you got out there.
Yeah, and like doing it the right way, taking our time, obviously wearing good gear. Certainly helps. Every crash is different, and I've had a lot of them. But when you hit your head, and a lot of people will say things about AGV or whatever helmet you're wearing, and I mean Mike has a concussion. He wears the or whatever the high end showy helmet is, whatever they call it. I don't care.
Yeah. Shall
So
we? X14,
or
X17.
X15.
Yeah, there you go. Something like that.
Mark, yeah,
X something.
special, big deal.
You guys
Right,
hear my son in the background trying to think like he's sneaky up in here. Like
Oh.
making noises. His hand was coming through the door. That's why I was laughing.
Bring him up in here.
Yeah, did he always bust in here? I'm just waiting for him any moment to bust open the door and ask for money or something. I hear you, Rossi. I hear you.
But yeah, can we segue into that? There he is. All right.
There he is. What is up, dude? What you got?
Yo, what's up, brother?
Oh, he's
That's
watching us. Look at
awesome.
that. My man.
No,
High
it's
five.
on the TV because I was coming here. I wanted to hear it. You're so delayed. I was sticking my hand in it. It took like 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, it's delayed. You're good.
Boom!
You want to say hi? Here.
Nuggets. I can hear him
Okay. All right.
through
all
my
right.
phone.
All right. You been out there playing your Oculus?
That's dead. I'm waiting for it to come back
All
on.
right.
This is now mine if you don't sell it in the next 30 days. If you don't sell this in the next 30 days, I'm claiming it as mine.
If you didn't know, William, everything mine is
Or
his.
and when you sell it,
I
I
don't
get
own anything.
I
Nothing's mine. It's
I
all
get
his.
50% cut.
You get 50% cut.
Yeah, so I get half.
Hey, dude, I'll give you my
So
address.
you get
can
100,
send me
I get
that
50.
steering
you get
stabilizer
50.
if you want.
We split it.
Hey, he said he'll give you your address if you send him that steering stabilizer. It's for an R6.
Hey, I'll
You-
make it fit
I'll-
anything.
I'll take $20 and it's yours.
All right, my guy. Hey, you have to give that half of that 20 to your dad.
That's right. He said I get 10 of that.
Huh?
I get 10 of that.
Okay, so what's that? You get
That means
$10?
yeah, and you get $10.
Wait. No, 40. So he gets 20, I get 20.
All right, I'll give you $40 for that. Shoot.
Give me this.
I want 40 because I need 20. And then, actually, yeah, 40.
$40
Or 50 or 100.
or
because I
100. You
need-
just keep going up.
No, either 100 or 40. 40 is good because I will take 20.
Oh, okay. We'll work it out. How's that, Rossi? We'll work it out. How's that?
Yo.
All right. Hey, shut that door behind you when you go, please.
No.
Yeah, so I got both my dogs in here. I got my puppy and
Wait, come here.
Charlie.
Oh,
Charlie,
no.
she's like
Like, you see her?
14. Fiona
This
right
is
here. She's my
Fiona.
little. She'll be a year old in September,
Yeah.
but I got to keep my eye on her while she's in here, William, because she's done ate 6 pairs of my tennis shoes, done chewed a hole in my couch, chewed one of my jackets up, it's been chewed on the side of my chair. So she's like a baby shark, if you will.
Oh, baby shark.
Chewed, like I literally just got these.
Oh man, RIP to the Under Armour slides.
Bro, I mean,
Digging
I
in my
still
butt.
wear them. And when I come home, I throw them
terrible.
on. I'll wear them out of the grocery store. Niggas like, why are you wearing those? I was like, who cares?
Yeah, well, I spent money on them and
I mean, who cares,
totally
right?
dog shit 'em up.
I still slide my foot in and out. So yeah, we're good. But anyway, back to what we were talking about, the whole recovery and the mental health, side of things. Hey, shut the door for me, will you, Bubba?
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, but I wanted to
Oh no,
say-
transition. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Mike Bishop and Moto America last
Good
year.
job.
Moto America this year what has been outstanding. It's just been a continuation of what he did last year. But it was really cool. When I was on Dustin's podcast, he kind of asked me what our approach was and kind of how we ended up doing what we're doing. And I think that's the biggest concern is for us, West Coast guys or some East Coast guys. Like this year, all the rounds are on the East Coast. All right. Well, we did the Ridge and Laguna as our West Coast round, but not for Stock 1000 this year. It was everybody else. Luckies. But there's 2 rounds on the West Coast and everything else is Midwest or out East. It's like, how do you go to Barber Motorsports Park, having never ridden there before, and put the bike on the grid, or Brainerd, or, this past weekend at Virginia? And again, like Mike was right at that, like 149, 150 metric at Chuckwalla. And there's it's probably more. I mean, I heard a couple people say that they didn't think he'd be successful in Moto America. I think there probably was a lot more when they found out that he had got his pro license. But he's done the work, and I toot my own horn. He's got a great coach.
Yes, he does. One of the best in the game for sure.
But when he posted on Instagram that he had gotten his Moto America license, and I shot him a PM, and I was like, yo, dude, just try to be respectful, because we do have a lot of extremely talented people on the team. And we know some really, really, we know extremely talented people on the West Coast and in the industry as well. So I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. But I was like, hey man, if you haven't committed to anybody being your, crew chief, coach, mentor, mechanic, I'll throw my hat in the ring. He was like, actually, dude, I was thinking about asking you. I haven't talked to anybody about it. It's like I got my license in the mail yesterday and put it on Instagram. And I was like, all right, bet, dude, let's go. And so, right from the beginning, man, helped him put together a sponsorship package, where to send it, compile the results, like how to talk to people about getting money, how to reach out to businesses and, get creative with generating sponsorship. And then once we kind of did all that rigmarole and getting the bike put together, he's on a 2022 S1000RR, which is something that I had to learn. So thank God for Steve Weir, is the BMW nerd / guru. Him and I talked at length during the off season at Chuckwalla last year in the winter about the quirks of the fine BMW S1000. And so that was a lot of fun. But Mike and I came up with a plan of how we're going to approach all of these new racetracks. So I had been to a couple of them. So I had been to Barber, I'd been to Laguna, I'd been to Jersey, but I hadn't been to Brainerd or the Ridge. I think that's what those are the 5 tracks that were on the schedule. So even if your rider coach or your mentor has been to a track, the rider has to go figure it out. All right, so what are we going to do? How are we going to break this down? So we're going to go slow to go fast. Remember, it's you versus the racetrack, and then take it one step at a time. So, and then you have to play with the weather too. So, but FP1 is just pure practice, and we don't lap times. We'll use them, but it's not like the end all be all. So many people get wrapped up, and I have to be under this lap time. And actually, Lugna and I were talking about it this weekend. It's just like, I have to be this lap time to make the grid. So for those that don't know, that are watching and listening, you have to be 110% of the fastest qualifying time of the weekend, Q1 or Q2, to make the grid, which is roughly 10 seconds. Obviously that changes, and I don't math good, so don't hold me to that. It's 8 to 10 seconds, depending on what track and then what that cutoff is. So that's a lot of stress. So we worked on, again, like that stoic mindset, not being, being emotionally disconnected and embracing that uncomfortable feeling of like, oh my God, what if I don't make it? And like, we don't talk about what if I don't make it. We don't have any negative language whatsoever, because we're focused on hitting those small incremental, and I don't use goals, but hitting those wickets. So it's like, all right, first we have to learn the racetrack. So there's so much more. Like when we got to Virginia, Mike's like, man, the onboard video does no justice to the racetrack, the ups and the downs and arounds. And we all know, watching GoPro footage of, whether it's Laguna or Buttonwillow, or even like Road America. I had no idea the back section of Road America had that big of a climb up the hill from like Canada Corner up through the front straight. I think, the front straight,
Yep.
Does this little thing, but like, I didn't know how dynamic that racetrack was. I mean, turn 5, turn 6, and 7, 8, 9, 10, going under the bridge into the carousel is downhill. You can't tell that from on board. So we get a track familiarization walk on Thursday night after for move in, and Mike and I break the racetrack down, and we have a beautiful way of communicating and looking at a racetrack and then being able to play off of one another. So we go to Barber, we do the track walk. Anthony had some great experience there as well, racing with Altus a couple of years ago on a Gixxer 1000.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So he was able to communicate, some of the nuances of the track from that professional experience where, I could sprinkle some salt from the weekend I was out there was with California Superbike. So that was really cool, working with some of my guys and talking with like James and some other guys at the time. But you don't know what's going on until you can walk the track and see it. And, Mike's perspective of a racetrack and my perspective of a racetrack, while similar, they're obviously different, but we can communicate those differences and come up with a really, really good plan. And I think that's step one is how are we going to take the data that we generate, entry, apex, exit, is it uphill? Is it a blind crest? Like turn 5, is it really a double apex? Going back and watching some older race videos like Moto America and watching what guys like Bobier and Fong and Heron, do when they exit that corner or get in there. I think one of the most electrifying riders at Barber is Matthew Scholz. Like that dude, especially on the R1, like just the way he got the bike down into turn 5, especially, like just that dude can just ride the wheels off a motorcycle.
Yes, he can. Yes, he absolutely. Scotty's is a funny story real quick. My buddy Jason Doss actually lent Scotty the 42th rear sprocket because he just got an R9 for that weekend, and Scotty set the lap record using his rear sprocket. He's going to it back to him. I was like, let's go.
Yeah, I was going to say, you better sign that thing.
Yeah, right. Hang it up on the wall, because he sent me a text. He's like, what should I do? I said, you should put it on the wall. That's what you do with it.
Yeah, you got to get a 3D printed stand and put that in plexiglass, because especially like lap record sprocket.
Bro,
let's go.
Make a clock out of it or something. Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, man, like taking the track walk and like being able to break down a racetrack, identify certain corners, camber, decreasing, increasing, blind crests, sweepers, double apexes, and then, putting certain sections together like Barber. Once you come over, you drop down that hill into the last, 3 corners, 4 corners, you got to get that entire section of the racetrack right. And you have to know that. You have to know that before even setting a wheel, where are the most important sections of the racetrack. And then going out in FP1 and seeing how good you are about breaking a racetrack down. And so, 9 times out of 10, we get about 80% of the racetrack correct, where it's like, yep, and then, okay, yeah, you can, where the apex is from watching professional onboard or, professional broadcast or onboard. But riding style and the motorcycle you're on, like, yeah, okay, sure. And most people would agree, like certain corners, the apex is the apex. But in a competitive environment, especially racing, like you have to figure out where your qualifying line is going to be versus where your race line is going to be, and where you can get away with being in a little bit early, being a little bit too tight, or maybe being a little bit late, maybe not carrying the radius of the corner so much. And you talk about that in theory, and then you go out there on the track. Brainerd's one of those tracks where like everything looks like they're more traditional corners, outside, inside, but you end up carrying the radius of the corners a lot longer than it looks. And it's really, really fun. Like after FP1, man, like you kind of see where you're at in the lap times, and it's metrics for us. It's not comparative, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. So we're looking at them, and I'm like, are we dropping 8 seconds from lap 1 to the fastest lap, which isn't always the last lap? Where are we consistently green for sector 1 or sector 3 or sector 4? Or where did we have the most variability? And then being able to get the data at the end of the day, because you can go, Moto America prints off all your sector times, your lap analysis stuff, so you can sit down at the hotel or the Airbnb or in the paddock and debrief. And that was the other thing too, is that I'm like, dude, every time you come in off the racetrack, you're going to go in the trailer. You're not going to talk to anybody. You're not talking to me. You're not talking to Lugnut or Johnny, Anthony, or Nick. You're going to go and you're going to sit down with your track map and with our notes, and you're going to go through the whole session. And then when you're ready, you're going to come sit down with me. And then you and I are going to go through what you experienced, what we saw, what we didn't see, what was weird, what other riders were doing. And then treating Q1, after all that, treating Q1 that afternoon, it's usually Friday afternoon, as a second practice session. Because we knew, especially if the weekend was going to be, if it was going to be clear on Friday and clear on Saturday for Q2, we don't have to worry about the rain. We don't have to worry about inclement weather. And we got really, really lucky all last year, where 4 out of the 5 rounds, there was no rain sessions for us. Some of the other guys, Twins Cup and Junior Cup, kind of sadly, they didn't get so lucky. But we got lucky with clear track for FP1, Q1, and Q2. And so treating Q1, if the weather's good, treating Q1 as a second practice session where we were not worried about making the show, because we knew that we were going to go faster the next day in Q2. Fresh tires, fresh, clean track, fresh mind, fresh body. And that was kind of how we did it. And Mike made the grid 4 out of 5 rounds. We had a mechanical in Jersey. But where we started, and our goal was, brother, we have to make the grid. Never mind getting racy with people. Like, we were spent by the time it came to race. He had nothing left to give. So his lap times were from a competitive standpoint, were too close to his qualifying times. And a lot of the pro guys, their qualifying times are going to be better than the race laps, which that's reversed for club racers. Most of the time, our race laps are our fastest laps versus our qualifying laps. What a great kid, man!
Bro, he's awesome.
So while our race laps, got a little bit better, they were still pretty close to our qualifying times. But man, Mike, and during all that, so that was like the big picture, how he put it all together. So, and then Nick and I talked. He's Anthony's crew chief this year and last year. Nick was like, hey, I think you guys need to come up with a little bit better strategy for qualifying. Because I'd be like, yeah, you go out and do like 7 or 8 laps, because we don't run a pit board or any track comm. Like, I'm like, we don't need that. Trying to keep it as simple as possible. And some people might disagree with me, and that's fine. Disagree all you want, because it works for us. We figured it out. But anyway, so Nick was like, you guys need to have a little bit better strategy. So Anthony would go out for his strategy. He would go out on his Q1 tire for Q2 or his FP1 tire for Q1, they would run X amount of laps and then come in, they'd swap a rear tire, and Anthony would go out on a freshie and put down, basically 2 or 3 seconds faster on average. I'm lazy, and also we have to keep budget constraints as well. I have no problem swapping a tire on hot pit, but at the same time, like if we get the bike setup correct, if we get the tire pressures correct, we don't have to. We can run a brand new set of tires in qualifying for the whole 30-minute session and generate the same amount of performance at the level that we are at. And so, Mike and I had these conversations, but what I want to get to is he would come in. So the goal was 5 laps, pit in, throw the warmers on, sit down. I'll look at where we're at, and then tell Mike how much time we need, because by Q2 we know where we got to be. And you can turn a blind eye to that 110% all you want, but you have to make it. And if Bryce Prince is out there, running a 26, or JD Beach or Hayden Gillum or, whoever the case may be, like that last year, man, Hayden Gillum was setting lap records every single round. And at the Ridge, like he ended up, his Superbike Cup times, race times were better than his qualifying times for Stock 1000 on the same bike effectively. And I'm like, man, thank goodness he didn't do that during the qualifying session.
Right?
We wouldn't have made the show.
Yeah.
I always want to go thank and be like, hey, man, thanks for taking it easy during qualifying. While also setting, I can't remember if he set a new lap record for Stock 1000 at the Ridge last year or not. Someone can fact check me and tell me that.
Yeah.
But dude, that guy was crushing it last year, like unbelievable rider, which all of the pro guys are, unbelievable. It's crazy. But so we'd come in, I'd look at the lap times, and I'd tell Mike, hey, dude, we need 1.4 seconds or 2.5 seconds. And I hit it on the nose, and he what we needed on the nose. Like I didn't say, if we needed 2.8, I didn't tell him we needed 3. And if it was 2.2, I didn't tell him, we needed 2. I said, hey man, we need 2.2 seconds. And he would say, okay, I know where I can get that. And he'd put his helmet on, and he'd go out, he'd do his out lap, and then no bullshit, Chris, that next flying lap would be within a 100th or a 1000th of what we needed, not a 10th. He would go out and give me 2.157, and I told him to go get me 2.2, and I was just like, I'm like, goodness gracious. And that would be the hot lap for the session. He had, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more laps to give, but I would tell him what he needed. And I have never, and I haven't been doing this a long time, and maybe, some more experienced rider coaches have seen something like this before. But I've been doing it enough, especially with some really qualified riders. I've never seen anybody do that. I've never seen anybody their first season as a licensed privateer, professional Moto America AMA pro go out there and make the grid like on the fucking nose. Pardon my language. Like, and and so this year, I'm like, man, like let's level this up. Like, let's go get racy. Like, we're not just making the grid and then we're gassed for the races. Like, let's go out there and get after it. And even last weekend, suffering the big crash and getting hurt. But I think Mike passed like 10 people. He ended up gridded second to last and went into turn 7. Like, so he started like 31st, I think, and probably went into that in 22nd, somewhere in there. But yeah, man, like phenomenal rider. Took feedback super well. Obviously having a rider of Lugnut's caliber in our paddock, in our pit as well. Like watching those two sit down and dissect and talk about the racetrack together and like really be brothers and teammates. Anthony's knowledge, being able to share that with Mike, from his experiences, and just all of us. I mean, and then Nick and Johnny and I, we work really, really well together as the support crew, knowing, when to be in the right spot. Cause you've been at the weekends, man. Like, and I'm a social butterfly. Like and I know all these people, right? So like last weekend, like I haven't seen Bobby in a minute, and I, was able to see Bobby Fong. Right, gives me a huge hug. Like that dude's such a bro, and so thankful for like the relationship that we have from the time we've spent together. I wanted like, hey, I'm like, sorry, dude, I gotta go. Like, tires got to come off, and all he's got to do is sign posters and win races.
He's like, I got work to do, man, bro. I got to go. We'll catch up later. Deuces, yeah, right. I got tires to change and stickers to put on and all that good stuff.
That's half the fun of it too, man. Like, it's like if someone would ask me, like, do you miss being on the grid? It's like, of course I do. My plan was to do the full season this year, to see where I would stack up against my teammates, and then make it a threesome instead of just a twofer. But I hit my head and that was it. So, but man, being there and being a part of it on the other side, like watching the lap times, watching the sector times go green, and then seeing some of the video afterwards, like watching Mike progress as a rider, and so Mike's first track day was with my track day company at Indy Motorsports Ranch in 2012. It was still the best track day ever at Indy Motorsports Ranch. That'll go down in history, and there ain't no one that can deny it. If you were there with Revolution Track Days at our Rev Day event at Indy, that was the best track event at Indy ever. Period. Dog. Sorry, Chris Paris. I love you, dog. But yeah, man, his first track day with all his squiddly Tucson homeboys was at Revolution Track Days, and then he ended up moving. So he got more involved, started racing, ended up joining us with DRRO, and we were doing the race program from 2015 to 2017. And Philly and I were rocking the new racer school together that Jason had generated, and then working with our rider coaches, and brought Mike into that, and he became USMCA certified. And then he got a gig at Nellis Air Force Base and moved to Las Vegas a couple of years ago now. And obviously we threw him right in with Apex Assassins. Like, it wasn't even a question. He'd been racing at Chuckwalla with us for years. And just watching his progression as a racer, going from an R6 to an Aprilia RSV4, that was a nightmare for him. He blew a motor up and some blah, blah, blah. And I think a lot of people have had experiences like that with those super bikes. Great bikes when they run, right?
Yeah, they're beautiful machines, but expensive paperweights are garage ornaments, right?
Yeah, and then moving into the BMW, and talking about on being honored and being humbled, that I've been there with him every step of the way, watching him progress, and dude, impressive. I don't think there's a word that really describes what he's been able to do against all odds. I mean, last year when he went to Renew, some behind the scenes stuff. And it's tough, man. Moto America is it's AMA Pro Racing. Like, it's not easy, from putting the team together to what it costs to the travel costs, and then the paperwork and dealing with the organization. Like, I don't know how many people are registered racers, and then each racer has a team of 2 to 5, if not more people. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot for a race organization to deal with. And so, based off of his results from last year in Moto America, they weren't going to renew his license. And he ended up talking with some of the with some officials, and they gave him his license for this year. And I don't know if he proved them right or if he proved them wrong, but he proved that he deserves to be on the grid. Because, and I'm not going to name any names, but if you've been following Moto America for at least the last 5 to 7 years, you know that there's a grip of people that are consistently in certain spots on the grid that seem to always show up. And nothing against them. Certainly you have to be a talented rider to be on the grid. But, for Moto America to kind of take that stance against Mike, back in the same positions as some of those people, say that you're not welcome back. But Mike fought the good fight, and then he proved that he deserves to be there. It just sucks that this weekend we ended up, having an accident, and he hit his head, and just stinks. But he wasn't the only. I think there was 3 or 4 other crashes in that stock 1000 race. And everyone else is okay, thank goodness, but even the fast guys crash, and they're all fast guys on that grid from 32nd place all the way to the front.
100%. They're all, as I say, legends of the sport. It's like, people sometimes criticize, you use that word too loosely. I'm like, look, to make the grid one, to give it your all, listen, I don't care if you're dead last or first. It's an absolute legend on the grid, right? Because the sacrifice, what you got to do to get there, everything that comes together, the village that helps raise the racer to get there, and the path you got to take, the determination. We all know the bad side of this sport, and it's just part of our game we play. We have crashes, right? Unfortunately, Mike crashed at VR, and it was coming out of turn 7, coming up the hill, right? Going into those S's.
And he just lost the rear just a little bit, but it pitched him over the front. That part of the racetrack's really dynamic, and it sucked that it was, at the beginning of the race when everyone's, nose to tail. And I'm just glad it wasn't any worse. It could have been. It can always be worse, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad I'm glad that everybody's okay, and he's okay too as well for the most part.
We're gonna. So my wife went down and hung out with his wife Sunday afternoon while he was in physio, and then when we got transported to the hospital, I got to ride in the ambulance with you, which was kind of fun. And it was cool, man. I mean, Mike's my brother, and they were like, hey, like Anthony, like when I came back to physio, Anthony was like, hey, man, Mike wants you to ride with him in the ambulance, and I was like, oh my.
Say no more.
Like, let's go. That's really emotional. But I talked to the chaplains too, and I wiggle wormed my way into the medical room as soon as I could. Thankfully, Doc Price let me hang out for the majority of the time. I just sat in the corner and listened. And then Mike was like, "Oh, where's Will?" I'm like, "I've been here the whole time, dog." And he's like, "I can't turn my head." I'm like, "I know."
Just know I'm right here.
Yeah, immediately called his wife and, kept in touch with her, right, at every single step of the way. And then Angelique, God bless that woman. I think we all think our wives are the best, but my Angelique is such a blessing to the team and to all of us.
That's for you, Angelique.
She's in the other room.
That's okay.
She's like, I got 2 bottles of wine and some chocolates. I'm heading down there right now.
My girl, let's go.
And such a beautiful thing, to have us so tight and all living, in Las Vegas together as a team. So really, really cool. And then, we're probably going to spend some time down there this weekend and go check on him, maybe cook dinner, and just start talking about, what we're going to do next once he heals up. I think that's the season for us. He broke his fibula as well, just below the knee in 2 spots. So while he could be ready for COTA, we have to take some things in stride and into consideration, not 20 years old anymore.
No, we don't bounce, roll. We more like splat now, and that's it, right? It's no more gliding across the asphalt. It's just that sucked.
Yeah. And, big shout out to Tony Broccolante and Rider Gear. Mike switched to the Rider Gear suits this year, and he had 2 crashes that weekend. That suit you still looks good. Still looks really, really good. And the Helite airbag system worked brilliantly, both crashes. We ended up doing a cartridge swap in the pits in between from one day to the next. So it's a beautiful system to be able to, recharge, swap a CO2 cartridge and have that thing ready to go again. So Tony, thank you. Tony's my suit sponsor as well. So shameless plug, but also, you look around the paddock and you see a lot of rider gear suits. And so pretty incredible stuff, man. Definitely saved Mike's buttocks.
That's right. And listen, sending all the love out to Mike. And I told you that the other day when you had texted me, or it was earlier today. It's wishing Mike a speedy recovery, man. If there's anything you need, just like I told William right here, dude, don't hesitate, reach out. I'll make it happen for you.
For sure, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Anytime, man. I love showing up and seeing you guys here at the track. It's nothing but proper mega times, hugs, and man, good vibes. That's what it's about, man. You know what I mean? It's absolutely amazing.
We gotta get you out west, dude. I got a bike for you to ride.
Yeah, man. I'll take you up on that. This is a conversation we'll have after the podcast for sure. But yes, absolutely. Look who we had pop in here is Mr. Corner himself.
Hey.
Bill. And then of course another legend of the sport, Dave Thomas, bro.
Oh,
What is
Dave
up,
Thomas.
man, dude, my dudes, miss you, Will. What about me, Dave? What am I, chopped liver? Nah, Dave's absolutely amazing.
Dave's my boy. We go back.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on Dave to hit me up to get him on this podcast, Dave. We've been talking about it for a while.
He's too busy racing at the Isle of Man.
Listen, everybody knows the Isle of Man is absolutely my favorite race ever. Oh, to me, it goes Isle of Man, BSB, and everything below it's on equal terms.
Okay, all right.
That's just how I see it, right? It's
I can get on that train of thought.
Yeah, BSB. People are always like, "Why BSB?" I'm like, dude, they race.
The tracks are this big,
dude. That not only that is they're racing. Their super bikes have very, very, very minute electronics on it.
Yeah,
so
I wish Moto America would adopt BSB,
bro.
Especially for stock 1000. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yes,
get me off on a tangent.
Yeah, we'll save that for part 2 for sure. Dave says, "Leave the Isle of Man in 6 days."
Yo,
Dave, I am jelly, mate.
Manx, is it the Manx GP?
Yep, the Manx GP.
What a stud,
bro! What a legend, man! It's to me, road racing, closed circuits, yeah, absolutely beautiful, right? But open roads. Northwest, TT, Oliver's Mount, blah, blah, Estonia, whatever, right? It's like we shouldn't even be doing that, right? But look how beautiful it is. It's like the poetry in motion. Seriously, it's the emotions that the TT give me, no other track gives me. Watching satisfaction wise.
Yeah,
of course, I love all my friends that race and all my friends in the paddock. Man, real road racing, it's just something different about it. It's unique in its own beautiful way, right? So, yeah, every man, every woman that gets out there at any open roads and actively competes is a god amongst gods in my book.
And talk about mentality, like I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
That's something I wish I could do. It definitely brings me back to my roots, ripping on back roads in upstate New York with the boys, and some of the mountains in Vermont, kind of the same thing that boys do down there in Virginia and Georgia, and Tail of the Dragon, whatever. But it's definitely something that I know that I could do for sure. It brings me back to my roots. We were idiots. The Tracy Road Crew back in the day, and any New England rider knows what that place is about. So
it's crazy you say that because everybody, when we get into it, we always want to drag our knee. But before even that, we got to get a suit. And I remember the first time you put on your first leather suit. Of course, it was too big, right? Way too big.
Joe Rocket for me,
dude. I had AGV. That's why I bought an AGV, and man, I felt like a god. I could do anything.
You were invincible.
Dude, bro, straight up. I missed that feeling, right? And then dragging your knee the first time, it was just talking shit to the boys, and yeah, man, it's a good thing we're still alive on the squidding we did on the street, and that's a fact. But back then, I justify it because we didn't have these back then.
Yeah, that makes a big difference, right? That makes a huge difference in the other factor of drivers on the road.
100%.
That's the scariest part, man. As a street rider,
Yeah.
Especially in, again, big cities like Las Vegas. Just driving home today, like I got this dude in an AMG Merc SUV in front of me doing 30 miles an hour. And I could see through his windshield. I could see into the cockpit of his car. There he is.
Dude,
I'm like, dude, if you're gonna, but anyway,
yeah, it's a whole nother topic. Well, listen, dude, we're an hour and 50 minutes into this podcast.
it seems like 10 minutes.
Dude, I told you it's going to go by quick, man. So what we'll do is we're definitely going to sit down and schedule a part 2. I do have many personal questions, but since we're 2 hours into it, I'm just going to ask you a couple, and I'll save the rest for next time.
All right.
So you had mentioned earlier, man, that you're a cook, dude. I love to cook. I get that from my mom. I didn't realize I really loved it until I moved out on my own. And yeah, I was like, dude, I want to cook this. I want to cook that. Right. And then I started doing it. And I called my mom, like, what was that shit you put in here? She's like, you paid attention? Yes, Mom. Believe it or not, I did pay attention to something, right? So where do you get your love for cooking from?
I mean, really, it came from, well, I guess one being a bachelor, but and forgive me, mother, but my mom would always overcook chicken, steak, pork. Steak would be, it'd be medium-ish. But we have a family marinade that was passed down. It's pretty standard, but you marinate steak, and the doneness is not so much a big deal, right? I'm a salt and pepper guy through and through with all my meats.
Me too.
So it started off for me barbecue chicken and pork, because my mother would ruin chicken breasts and pork loin. I'm like, listen, at a certain point, especially living at home during college, I'm like, listen, I'm taking over. And she was like, okay, great. So she would prep all the meals. And then I do a lot of the cooking. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Especially like when you get that perfect doneness on a pork chop, that you're butter based in it, and you made homemade applesauce to go with it. Right. And maybe like some sweet potato fries, like, man, this is fantastic. And then when you're cooking for yourself, just on a bachelor level, and then every now and then, right, you can impress the ladies. And then nowadays, like my wife has really helped me to level up. She's so supportive, and she loves. She says it herself. She's like, he's ruined going out to eat. Because if we get a steak that I can cook better at home, and I will cook it better at home, she's like, why are we even spending money? So the one thing I'm gonna say I can't. The one thing that I don't cook at home is pizza. We have a great Neapolitan pizza joint called Settebello here in Vegas, and it is. I don't want to try to make it at home, because it would ruin our date nights.
No, that's right. As far as pork chops go, man, my mom turned me on to a recipe of grilled peaches and pork chops.
Yeah,
bro, it's absolutely amazing. My wife loves it. It's one of the favorite things that I make for her. My wife's not so much a cook. I'm more the cook, but it's hard sometimes. It's a challenge because she has a different palate than I have. I'm more of a Indian, Thai, Greek, spice, blah blah blah. She's more of a, hey, my shit's got to be burnt and charcoal black and just salt and pepper and this and that. Which just salt and pepper is fine, but man, I gotta have my steak like pink and juicy and tender, and everything's got to be done right. I like asparagus, like all kinds. Now, as far as pizza, my dad's got to patent it down on the homemade pizza and the pizza dough. If I do it at home, I cheat. I buy the bread. I use naan bread, the Indian naan bread.
Okay.
And then pizza sauce and whatever you want on, and throw in the oven, and there you go. You got your little slice of pizza heaven, and
Yeah, if you're eating it at home, like
yeah,
it's pizza, who cares?
yeah, right. But everything else, man, a part of my weight loss journey, man, I tell the story quite often. Dude, I was like 270 pounds and a 40 waist. I'm in a 34 now, weigh about 212.
Yeah, you look great.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And all that's change your mind, change your diet, start making salad dressings at home, not eating fast food bullshit, staying away from as much processed food as you can.
No soda.
No, dude, I didn't grow up. I got ADHD and I don't take medicines. So part of that growing up, they wanted to put me on Ritalin. My parents were like, fuck, hell no. So they cut out pretty much anything with any dyes. Of course, my birthdays, and I'd get, cake and ice cream. But for the most of the part, nah, bro, I ain't getting none of that. That's why to this day, I don't drink soda. I don't drink tea. I drink coffee, water, and alcohol every once in a while. There you go.
Just so everybody knows, because I got my
koozie.
I got my groom's koozie on. I'm not drinking soda. I saw you drink a can of the soda. Was that Bud Light?
Yeah, no.
Blackberry raspberry sparkling water. I don't know. Wifey always gets the good stuff.
Yeah, man, I'm with you on that. So I'm a big, just in part of that too, William, was, and this is what I expressed to people when they knew me when I was fat to when they know me now. I'm like, the most important you do to you, and I say this all, love yourself, but pay attention to what your body's telling you as you're eating foods. Meaning that if you eat something and your nose is immediately stuffy, well, there's something in there that your body's having a reaction to. Now you got to figure out what that is. Stay away from that, right? That's what's listening to what you're putting in your body. Your body's going to tell you everything you need to know if you just listen.
It's like riding on the track. You got to pay attention.
Gotta pay attention, man. Gotta pay attention. Favorite comedian?
Oh man, right now is I'd say this: Jimmy Carr, I'd say, and Shane Gillis. But dude, I'm obsessed with Kill Tony right now.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Kill Tony, what he's doing, I think, for the greater industry of comedy. Is something that no one else is really doing, and finding new comedians, and then just the riffing that they do is like the last place in the world right now where we can be real and be honest with people. He's got every shade, every culture. He has people with disabilities. And they don't hold back. And I think that's a beautiful thing. We need a little bit more of that honesty and that realism where we can joke about maybe being a little bit overweight or being in a wheelchair and not getting so hung up on all this political correct bullshit. So yeah, Kill Tony, but dude, Shane Gillis, and then oh man, I always forget his name. I had mentioned it earlier.
You did. I can't remember.
The British dude.
Oh,
he's always so impeccably dressed. And I saw him in Joe Rogan live. In LA a couple of years ago.
Joe Rogan, he's hilarious. I'll never forget that one comedy he did where he's talking about there's more lions in the state of Texas than there is in the whole world, right? I was like, bro, yeah, he absolutely killed. But I've been listening to a lot of Gary Owen here lately. Gary, he's pretty funny.
I'm not familiar. I have to check it out.
Yeah, man, you have to check out Gary Owen. He's a white guy that dates nothing but black chicks, and he was in the military. He was a guard, and he was like, yeah, I remember I showed up. I wrote this dude a DUI. He's like, 4 hours after my shift is done, I'm doing all this paperwork. I said, never again, right? So anybody gets drunk, comes in, dude, he just got to let him tell the story because I'll absolutely murder it. So yeah, you need to check him out. It's hilarious. Everybody knows I'm a big audiobook listener. I don't read a lot of books. It puts me to sleep unless it's my shop manual for my motorcycle course. And I love to read that, but I love just getting in a car like I'm going to Mid-Ohio and after this weekend coming up for Moto America, and yeah, I'll throw in an audio book and hit the road for 6 hours and enjoy the ride. So I'm currently listening to, I already said it, Change Your Mind, Change Your Diet, which is just whole food and listen to what you're putting in your body and how bad really the food is out here on the markets and then the restaurants and all this other stuff. So, but is there any books that you read that you could recommend to anybody right now?
I don't know about recommend. What I'm reading right now, I wouldn't recommend what I'm reading right now. But then again, like everyone has their thing. I'm going to deep dive, a deep science fiction nerd dive into Lord of the Rings. So
Nice.
I read The Hobbit when I like way back, like high school, I think, but I never read like the actual trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I'm on the Two Towers right now, but read Fellowship of the Ring in a week while we were on vacation in Vermont 2 weeks ago. But before that, I read the Silmarillion. So it's if you like the movies and you're kind of into the books, like the Silmarillion will answer a lot of the questions. So it's put together by Christopher Tolkien, so J.R.R. Tolkien's son. And it's based off of all the letters that he wrote to friends and publishers about his ideas, and then a bunch of the notes that he took, which were extensive. So it's a brilliantly put together. Christopher is been able to channel the spirit of his father for the rest of us. So doing a deep dive, really nerding out on Tolkien right now. Before that, it was Dune and Frank Herbert. So I read the whole Dune hexology and then a bunch of other Frank Herbert books as were recommended by my mentor, which are incredible. Once you can wrap your head around reading Frank Herbert, you don't want to read anything else. Dune is unbelievable. I think I've read it 3 times since I got introduced to it in the past 2 years, I think.
I'm about to check it out. I watched the movies, the 2 movies they have, Dune. They were really good.
Yeah, the
I
movie's
like,
exceptional.
yeah, I'm a big
They were
sci-fi
difficult.
nerd too, so
And then things that we're reading right now that are nonfiction. So The Pursuit of God by oh man, the last name's Tozer. What's his first name? But Pursuit of God is incredible by Tozer. His initials, I'll remember it after the podcast. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
dude, that I got that. That's my next on the list.
Highly recommend. And then for my intellectual road racers, Think Fast, Think Slow. Would highly recommend if you're a brainiac and you like to read. Think Fast, Think Slow. I don't know who the author is. I might not gonna run out and get it, but
You think they'll have that on audiobook?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I can share the details, the author with you when we're done. And then my wife just started reading Think Like a Roman Emperor, which is a breakdown, more digestible breakdown of like Marcus Aurelius in Meditations and kind of like who his mentors were. My wife and I both read a lot of Stoic philosophy. So Epictetus, she just got a book on Seneca, Aristotle. Like one of his quotes is hanging in my bathroom. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
I'm into all that stuff too, man. Greek mythology and yeah.
I relate everything back to racing and riding motorcycles. It all relates back. Any relationship issues that her and I have had, or issues that she has professionally. She's a brilliant educational therapist and educator. She teaches kids who have learning disabilities how to read. In fact, she developed her own reading program and reading curriculum. That's very, very unique. And I am blessed and honored to be a consultant in the program, not just design wise, but also like the creation of it and where we're coming. And it's so wonderful that her curriculum for teaching kids how to read so closely parallels my mentality of racing rider development program. It's so cool. There's so many there's so many cross streets that we've been able to put together. So really everything that we deal with in life can come back to riding and racing motorcycles. It can be solved by how to attack a corner.
I love it. I love it. That's good knowledge, people. I hope you guys are listening to this, and girls. Yeah, for sure. So, listen, dude, we're a little bit over 2 hours. So this is the last question. I got a lot more, but we're going to say that for part two. Last question I got for you tonight, man. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh man. Let's say Wheatus, Teenage Dirtbag.
Man, you know how long it's been since I heard that song?
And man, what's the name of that STP song?
Which one?
Dogs will find you.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna wake up tomorrow. I'll find her.
Yeah.
I can't remember the
I
name of
can't
it.
either. Yeah, anyway.
But that one,
everybody
you know,
knows who
I'll
that is.
rock that song.
Mine's Sublime. I love Sublime, so I'll get up there and
Yeah.
Sublime it
That
out.
always gets the people going, man.
It does, man. It does. It does. Well, William, bro, it's been an absolute honor. This 2 hours and 5 minutes feels like it's been like literally 10 minutes. And we just been getting started. But the beauty of this is we're going to schedule part 2, 3, 4, 5 because we still got so much more to talk about. There's so much more knowledge and so much more I want to pick your brain on.
For sure, dude.
I'm going to let you end the podcast. Before I do, I got to tell everybody, like I always tell everybody, man, I appreciate all the love and support. If it wasn't for William and all my friends coming on this podcast, I would not be here right now. And if you guys and girls had not had the chance yet, please go hit the ding dongs, TikToks, likes, subscribes, and all that good stuff. It does help me out a whole lot. Everybody asked me about my shirts and my beanie hats and all that stuff. You guys can go to clothingkings.co.uk. That'd be a partnership on the top. Click on it. You go straight down to Pin to Gas, where you can get all your merch available out there in the UK. Big shout out to Next Level Financial, Chef Eats, TST Industries, SFL Mini GP. Everybody knows William. I'm a huge supporter of SFL Mini GP. It's where all the future legends of our sports are coming out of, whether it's Apex out in California, Jersey, or South Florida. I got a lot of kids and parents ask how they can get into the program. And I got the website for you guys and girls to go to. It's miniusasbk.com. The beauty of this program, William, is all you do is sign up and register, and you show up. You don't need a bike, boots, gloves, leathers, none of that. They provide everything. So all you can do is show up and have fun, right? And learn the Apex assassins out there on the track. Big shout out to RD Racing and my boy Jake Marsh out there in the UK. Vet2 Track for all my veterans out there. I got a good buddy named Jim Whitman that has an organization. It's called Vet, like the dog vet, the number 2 track.org. He puts you out there on motorcycles with like-minded people. Everybody knows I'm big on mental health. So anything you got going on here where you feel like you're alone, trust me, you are absolutely not alone, my friend. If anybody out there ever needs anything or ever wants to talk, everybody knows my phone number. I give it out all the time. Matter of fact, it's 540-588-5562. Give me a call. I'll definitely answer the phone, and yeah, we could chat it up. Big shout out to Flying Eyes Optics for all your sunglass needs. You can use the discount code Pin to Gas. I got 2 really good friends in this industry that make undersuits. One of them is 64 Degree Racing Tate. He's absolutely amazing. He sent me 2 custom undersuits. People ask me all the time, William, dude, you give these shout outs and all this stuff, and you got a couple friends that do undersuits and graphics and all this. Look, listen, keep it in the community. You're not going to go wrong by ordering from any one of my friends at all. They're all absolutely amazing, and so there's the products. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about them. So if anybody needs an undersuit, and trust me, William can contest to this as far as anybody else that's been on a track at least, bring more undersuits than you do underwear. You can always wear an undersuit home if you need to, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah, for real. So nobody wants to do out the pat. Trust us. More anyway, 64 Degree Racing. Another one is venomsport.com. William, you're well aware of Mama Aliki, which is an absolute legend.
I wear them.
There you go, right? And this shirt actually is from Aliki and Venom. She custom made this and sent it to me. It's absolutely one of my favorite t-shirts.
She's so great too. Like
She
I love
is.
that girl.
She is absolutely amazing. And if you guys missed the podcast me and her did, go back and go check it out because it's proper mega, as I always say. Speaking of that, her and Aunt Lee Terry got the Racer 401 program, Racers Helping Racers. You guys and girls go to Racer 401 at race/cra.com. Sign up and yeah, go out there and go have some fun. Big shout out to Road Racing World. I need everybody to go to roadracingworld.com and donate to the air fences. It's imperative that we have the air fences. If not, William's not going out there to the track. I'm not showing up to have fun to do my thing. So any donation helps. $5, $10, $100, $500, whatever you can afford. Please, it all goes to a proper mega cause. On that note, big shout out to all the corner marshal workers too at that, because if we didn't have you guys and girls out there, again, we wouldn't be going racing. So nothing but love to all the corner marshal workers out there, all you guys and girls. Big shout out to BTR. Man, I'm so proud of all my girls this season at BTR. It was an emotional weekend for me at VIR. You know, I'm friends with a lot of these girls, and some of them it was their last hurrah. So hopefully they'll be back in Moto America next year. I don't know, but it's an amazing program. So next year, please, if you make it out to Moto America, stop by the BTR tent, give all your highs, your hugs, get the autographs and the posters and all that. Dude, what an amazing program. So I'm proud of all my girls this season. You know, William, to see the girls that started 2 years ago and watch the way their season ended the first time, and then coming into this season and just see the progression and the way they changed mentally and their aura around them and the team. It's BTR, let's go, right? Big program. Big shout out to Scott. Thank you so much for making me a VIP guest at VIR. Nothing but love to you and all the girls out there at BTR. I can't stop talking highly about that program. Anyway, big shout out to KYT Helmets, K-Tech Suspension, Ghetto Customs for all your custom body work. I got 3 friends. That's not 3. That's 3. 3 friends in the industry that make custom graphics. You're not going to go wrong, again, by ordering from any one of them. First one, Dripping Wet. Everybody knows the legend, Chris Crisell. The other one is my buddy Reese at REB Graphics. And the last but not least is Gus Rodeo at GRG Designs. Big shout out to Woodcraft, Mark 10 Motorsports, Free Hugs Racing, Nicole Polyage Photography, Stick Boy Racing, Adrenaline Engineering, Pit Lane Moto. If you or any one of your friends or family members you know had a misfortunate been in an accident, maybe paralyzed from the waist down, paralyzed or missing an arm or leg, you, my friend, can actually get back out there on the bike and have fun and actually race. Yes, you can. I need you to go to tbexusaexperience.org, sign up. I got a good buddy, Easy Davis, that actually races on the team this year. What a mega, I mean, he is super fast. And that team is just,
love that dude. Great team. Great team.
Yeah, I can't speak highly enough of what they're doing, you know, to getting people back out there on the bike. You know, I couldn't imagine being, you know, in an accident and then thinking to myself, I can never ride again. But knowing that there's people out there and a program set in place and the bikes that's already set up for you to get out there and ride. Again, that is tbexusaexperience.org. Big shout out to CW Moto and truthbetolapparel.com for all your apparel needs. And big shout out to Remix Racing, man. So, yeah, listen, that's all I have. William, the floor is all yours. Tell everybody where they can find you on social medias, Apex Assassins, get that coaching, the whole 9.
And apexassassins.com. Come ride with us. We're at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where we do events with Legion Moto and big presence up in Utah, big presence down in Podium Club in Arizona. And I don't know, we got some interesting things coming out for the next couple of years. So keep an eye out on that. I'm really not on the socials too much these days, but you can find me on my racer page on Facebook at WR46 Rider Development and at MotoFreak46 on Instagram. It's dude, Chris, thank you so much, dude. This is like such a cool thing. I'm really looking forward to round 2. As y'all can see, I've always have a lot to say, and my friends love to bust my balls about my rider meetings at our track days. But I'll tell you what, man, I time myself every time because truth data and metrics are important. 27.5 minutes every single time. So, my friend, thank you. What you're doing is incredible. Your position in the industry is unique. And the effect you have at the racetrack and what you do and how you do it is we need it so much. It's such a blessing, and we're so thankful. So, dude, thank you, and looking forward to the next one.
Listen, the honor is all mine, my friend, and thank you so much for the kind words. And yeah, dude, listen, I tell people all the time, it's an absolute honor to do this. It's something I never dreamed about. You know, I believe that things are meant to happen the way they're supposed to happen. And you're supposed to be at where you're supposed to be at, so to speak. But yeah, it's again, well, the honor's all mine. If it wasn't for you guys and girls coming on here, again, I wouldn't be able to do this. So
Well, you're welcome.
thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. And listen, it's almost my bedtime. I got to get up at 4:30 in the morning. But listen,
Yes,
ladies
sir.
and gentlemen, if you guys ended up missing half of this or catching it, as soon as I end this, you can go back to my Facebook or my YouTube and rewatch it. It'll be out everywhere on Spotify. I'll do all the social media thing. I'll tag you and all that good stuff. So yeah. William, is there anything you want to say for in the podcast?
Ride, have fun, enjoy the process. And if you want to go racing, just pull the trigger. It's the best thing you can do with your clothes on.
110%, my friend. I couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, we are out of here. See you guys. All right. Hang on one second for me, okay?
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.